didn't totally understand this whole like thing, but now that I've read a little bit about it, totally trans rights are human rights, right? It's not that. It's never that. It's like, oh, trans people are rapists, and that's why they want to go into the bathrooms. British Columbia has filed a human rights complaint with the BC Human Rights Tribunal after enduring months of relentless harassment from a transphobic parent who began attacking them online over their identity. Joanna Evanson, the parent who goes by the moniker Blonde Bigot on social media, is accused of repeatedly posting screenshots of BC teacher Wilson Wilson's personal social media account last year regarding their gender-affirming surgery. In the postings online, Everson misgendered Wilson and claimed it was inappropriate for Wilson to post photos of themselves online. A month later, the American far-right social media account Libs of TikTok, and then boom, you can already tell what's going to happen next, which is known for inciting violence and hatred, particularly against the LGBTQ+ community, picked up Wilson's story, further exposing them to hate and harassment. Libs of TikTok, which aggregates content targeting teachers and the 2S LGBTQ+ community, have been linked to harassment, death threats, bomb threats, targeting schools and children's hospitals across the US. Libs of TikTok also reposted images from Wilson's social media account, as well as emails Everson sent to Wilson's school, exposing where Wilson worked, inviting their massive audience to pile on and send harassing emails to the school. Lawyers Against Transphobia, a legal advocacy group dedicated to protecting the rights of trans people, is now helping Wilson bring a human rights complaint against evidence of harassment. Jadine Lawson, Lawyers Against Transphobia, who assisted Wilson with their human rights complaint filed last month, says the harassment is designed to silence and erase trans people from mainstream culture. The BC Human Rights Code prohibits any publication which is likely to expose a person, a group, or a class of persons to hatred and contempt because of their gender identity and gender expression. Subjecting trans people to online hate is a key way that hateful people and folks on the far right are able to keep trans people out of public life. This is really what parents want for Wilson. She wants them to go away. She wants them to stop teaching, to stop working, to stop being out, and just to disappear from public view. Wilson says at first they simply deleted the hateful comments on their social media posts and tried to move on, but days later, when the posts were picked up by Libs of TikTok, it became clear that it was too big to ignore. It took seconds for that wave to come rushing in. It's really shocking. It's really surreal, because the person that they're talking about isn't me. It's just an idea. The idea of a villain, of a trans person, of a trans teacher, and it has my name, but it's so far from who I am. Wilson, yeah, because like, again, imagine you're just like a small teacher, a local teacher who basically made a single post that was like, I go by they, them pronouns, I'm non-binary, and that's it, innocuous, harmless. Libs of TikTok has it emailed to Higher I Check, she gets it, and all of a sudden it's like, this pedophile groomer is trying to indoctrinate kids to get gender-affirming care and wants to cut off their genitals and stuff like that. And then boom, of course your social media accounts are going to fucking flood with that shit every single time you make a post. I get it bad enough just being someone who sometimes advocates for this kind of stuff. I can't imagine what it's like having like no social media presence outside of being just like a teacher for, again, a local community, and then having Libs of TikTok shine the target on you, right? And then all of a sudden it's like boom, fills with that kind of hatred and fucked up shit. Fears or individual perceptions are just turned into truth, and truth is echoed, so you're being reinforced with the feelings of this echo, and it's really, really loud. They're incredibly loud, and you feel comfortable being violent, and they are very comfortable taking action. And yeah, if all your replies are sending like, groomer pedophile, I'm gonna kill you, groomer pedophile, you're gonna die, groomer pedophile, you deserve a bullet, groomer pedophile, like that's, you can't just tell people to ignore it, or you can't just tell people like, oh, come on, suck it up. It's just online, everyone is mean online. It's like, no, that'll have a significant toll on your mental health and make it very, very difficult for you to try and do your job, let alone do it and ignore it, to try and just be like, oh, I'm just gonna try and turn that all off, you know? So the Heritage Foundation, the one that's doing Project 2025, I've said before that these right-wing Christian nationalist groups, they do not stop simply in the United States. They are a global project. Christian nationalism wants to have, again, their disgusting ass tentacles in every single country in ways, one way or another. It's why you'll see a lot of outside influence and outsider foreign investment into things like, say, the trucker rally in Canada, aka, you know, the whole like freedom rally is what they eventually called it. The occupation, the trucker occupation that took place in Canada, had a lot of outside investment sources. A lot of it did come from small business to large business owners in the United States, which makes a lot of people wonder, why did they care so much about this occupation that was taking place in Canada? Because they saw it as a way of investing again into a movement that's supposedly going to spread their values globally. It's the same reason why a lot of far-right Christian organizations fund anti-gay movements in other countries, like Uganda, to be able to pass draconian and anti-LGBTQ plus laws, but to do it as part of a global project. Well, Project 2025 from the Heritage Foundation is also one of the people who sponsors Billboard Chris. If you didn't know Billboard Chris, if he's not part of your fucking Rolodex of ghouls, he's a Canadian weirdo who is obviously besties with all of the other anti-trans people. Libs of TikTok loves Billboard Chris. So does Matt Walsh and Wokeness, aka Jack Pasabic, all those people. He just has, you get what he describes himself as. He has a giant billboard and he goes in front of children's hospitals and just stands there. Just being like, they're cutting off penises. Don't go inside, or they'll cut your penis off. Does your little boy have a penis? Well, they're gonna cut it off. That's his whole shtick. And like again, it's why he named himself. So the think tank that recruited and groomed Canadian anti-LGBTQ influencer Billboard Chris, a lead organizer for multiple rallies targeting Canada's schools. According to Media Matters, Elston revealed in a breakout session that he had been identified and recruited by a right-wing American think tank called the Heritage Foundation to join the initiative to fight gender ideology. So here's what happens. You can be a complete, divorced weirdo, and then you're basically just doing this weird ass shit that normal people would probably try and get you arrested for. But you're standing outside of, children's schools, children's hospitals, stuff like that with a giant billboard talking about their genitals, which is what Billboard Chris is known for. This is his thing. Now, that in and of itself probably just would have gone for a couple weeks until, some parent just knocked the fuck out of him. But it turns out that this is enough for the Heritage Foundation and other right-wing think tanks to want to recruit you and amplify you and suddenly put money behind your project. Again, you can be bereft of any talent, even ideology or coherent argument. You can basically just be doing the things that they really, really want people to do, which is to target LGBTQ plus folk, right? The ones they see as degenerates, they call them the alphabet mafia, all this kind of shit. You're seeing a lot of again, far right Christian nationalists right now really, really amping up the whole fire and brimstone. We need to stop them. This directly is why feminism destroyed the world and why the alphabet mafia is destroying the world. But again, someone like this dude, I forget the name, the N-word Karen, that woman who just suddenly, she became famous pretty fast for basically, she got caught in one of her TikToks dropping the N-word, and then when she was called out for it, rather than either apologize or be like, yeah, I shouldn't have used that word, it's not my word, it's certainly got a lot of offensive history behind it, especially me as a white person should have recognized that this wasn't okay ever, but even now, no, none of that. Instead, she just tripled down and was like, thanks black people, you fell right into my trap, haha, you were my pawns, now I mean more famous than before. And then everyone's like, all right. And so all of a sudden she's on Play, she's on this, blah, blah, blah. But then it turns out that she was in a relationship with a non-white person, of which the new white supremacist / super far right people who were obviously getting and becoming really fast fans of her were all of a sudden demanding racial purity in both her children. Found that out, they started calling her a race traitor. They said that she was an abomination, that she was basically everything that they hate. And then so she realized the far right aren't all that sweet, I guess, and then decided, you know what, I'm a centrist. Actually, no, the left are insane, the right are insane, I'm positioning myself directly in the middle. Again, she has absolutely no skills or talent whatsoever. She is known for nothing else than saying the N-word. That's the only thing she's notable for, right? At least the Haktui girl apparently taught the entire universe that straight people have been getting dry hand jobs for years. I don't know. What is the obsession with that? I don't get it. I was like, has everyone just been dry jacking each other and then being chafed and uncomfortable? Is that the whole thing? Jesus fucking Christ. Use some lube. What is wrong with everybody? Why is there an entire phenomenon because one person pointed out, yes, a hand job feels better. It's lubricated. What the fuck? This is now apparently a personality. Anyways, with the N-word Karen, she has nothing. Literally, her only discernible note to fame was saying the N-word. And that's really, really, really sad that alone can be transformed sometimes into some kind of a pipeline into the right. But I would say Billboard Chris is not much better than that. He's the equivalent of that, except he was actually doing what you could call protest, again, by standing out in front of children's hospitals with signs talking about their genitals. Elston was the guy who organized the chaotic far-right rally that caused 3 schools in Ottawa to order students to shelter in place. He promoted the rally months earlier and closed the door to talk with conservative insiders at the Toronto Elite Albany Club. And also, Canadians, if you think what you see happening in the US is unique to the US and just stays in there, it doesn't. Both in ideology and the way hatred spreads and rapidly. Like, I'm sorry, but there's just as much hatred flowing through the veins of Canadians as there is through Americans. All right, there's not some kind of progressive utopia that you've been sold otherwise. But a lot of that too can sometimes come from outside funding, from very, very deep pockets, especially if they happen to be intertwined with these organizations like the Heritage Foundation or the Christian nationalists who, yes, want to put their money where their mouth is. Like, they're true believers. That's what people need to realize. There's a lot of people who are just doing this, yes, the Dave Rubin of it all, doing it for the game, doing it for the grift. He's just doing it for that bag. That's true. Dave Rubin doesn't really care. He'll do whatever Dennis Prager tells him to do at any given time. I need to believe in God. Okay. Like, fine. That's the Dave Rubins. But the actual people who run the Heritage Foundation, they believe in this shit. They do want to enact an authoritarian, far-right Christian fucking monarchy and do everything in their power to do so. Erode every last social safety net. But more importantly, erase all the victories that have come at the hands of, again, civil rights movements, okay? Because so many things that are in place, like some of the things that we just already kind of cherish, but we hold dear, not knowing the history and where they come from, they usually come from a lot of blood. And a lot of the current, like, you know, if you look at the world today in the West, you might think of like this bastion of acceptance and liberalism and tolerance and the fact that, well, you can now be openly gay as a gay man. Granted, hopefully that you're a white gay man, but you can be openly gay as long as you don't show the gay publicly. But you can be gay and get married, get gay married. Some might say married, but gay married, and then do gay shit. But like a little weird if you want to, you know, adopt kids, because all of you, I know you're not all pedophiles, but I'm prone to believe some of you are, so maybe that's a little iffy. But that's where we are in terms of, like, you know, the freedom, the freedometer. That's kind of where like the gay rights is at. And so some people might just sit back and be like, yes, and that was earned because people just decided at a certain point to stop being mean and to stop being bad, and that's why that happens. It's also why we have like a 5-day work week, because, you know, bosses realize at a certain point that's just, it's too much. People just can't work all day, and maybe children shouldn't work either, because, you know, not because it's morally repugnant, but because their hands are small and can't, you know, work the machinery, that kind of idea. So now we have like 5 days where we work and 2 days where we don't. One of them is the Lord's Day, and so that's good. And I'm not sure why that happened, but it's probably through some kind of, again, people decided to stop being mean, and that's nice. The same thing for a lot of civil rights. You know, the very idea of they're trying to be some kind of system where people who are members of visible minorities and communities that are often overlooked may have advantages that they wouldn't have otherwise had because of, again, systemic racism. Those kind of programs are because people decided to stop being mean, and it's good. The critical movement only really exists because it is an effective way of laundering far-right extremists, and that's beneficial for certain people in power. If it didn't have the backing of the media, it wouldn't be anything but a weird cult like it is in other countries. Yesterday, Telegraph writer Nina Power was ousted via a court case for writing for a neo-Nazi blog under a pseudonym. Kathleen Stock posed in support of Power and was widely criticized for doing so, which led to Richard Dawkins and J.K. Rowling posting in support of Stock. Nina Compact is an original, stimulating, light-footed writer who always makes me think. I'm very happy I supported her crowdfunder a few years back, and I get a lot from Compact Mag, where she's the editor, and the podcast she contributes to. Doing what you do, Nina. You are great. The savage missiles hurled at Kathleen Stock in the stocks of Sussex University give the lie to the pretense that her tormentors should be pitied as an oppressed minority who just want to peacefully get on with their life. I've so admired her gentle courage. Gentle courage is the perfect description of my friend, Doc Stock. Well, that's not good. I don't know why this keeps happening. Oh no. You'd think that, like, after it happened once, maybe someone like J.K. Rowling might be like, old, I say, why is it apparently there seems to be a few of our friends who are also friends with the Nazis. How does that keep happening? Why is there Nazis everywhere? Yeah, because your beliefs align with the Nazis. It's the same thing as the Nazis believed. So it would make sense. A lot of white supremacists, a lot of neo-Nazis going to end up in your inner circle. Doesn't matter why you think that you're doing the good thing. You're the baddies. The minor transphobes in my mentions have been defending Power by claiming she was kidding. Oh, she was kidding. That's awesome. Good stuff. So even if you're making weird ass jokes, wouldn't it be wild if I was a white supremacist? That, you know, there's not a lot of room for the suspension of disbeliefs. Why would that, like, what's the joke there? But then if you were like, okay, wait, what if I take it further? I'm going to go method with this. What if it'd be really funny if I was not only a white supremacist and a neo-Nazi, but I ran a blog that was like a white supremacist neo-Nazi blog. And then I made posts in that blog that had a whole bunch of like white supremacist neo-Nazi shit as a bit, as a gag. Then wouldn't it be like, well, what's the joke? Is the joke just that you're a Nazi? You could just say you're a Nazi. No, people don't like that. They don't like that, but they love what I have to say. Yeah, it's just the labels when it gets down to it, you know? This is like worded. The savage missiles forward to Kathleen Stock gives the lie to the pretense that her tormentors should be pitied as an oppressed minority. Yes, you'll see this from a lot of people who go like full TERF, full transphobe, full bigot on the internet, that they eventually start to craft this worldview that there seems to be this like army of online wokies or trans ideology or commie something. I don't know where they come from, but they come in the thousands, and they all of a sudden they all just like pile on you whenever you don't adhere to the exact strict code, and you have to always update it because if you even trespass ever so slightly, they will destroy you. And it's like, okay, first off, none of these people are people who are like trying to be accommodating or learn or be like, hey, by the way, I didn't totally understand this whole like thing, but now that I've read a little bit about it, totally, trans rights are human rights, right? It's not that. It's never that. It's like, oh, trans people are rapists, and that's why they want to go into the bathrooms to rape because they're all rapists. And then everyone's like, you fucking bigot-ass bigot. That's not true. The more often the victims of sexual assault than the perpetrators. What the fuck are you saying? You're just like a bigot-ass bigot. And it's like, oh my god, the trans agenda. They're all banding together all at once. Look at them. Oh, the tormentors are here. And it's like, yeah, but like, you were just being an open bigot, and then you're shocked that there's a lot of people who don't feel this way or don't want to deal with your shit anymore, right? And then it's like they keep on appearing in all corners of the internet pretending that they've got this new trick. It's like, oh, no, I'm not like the others. Oh, no, I'm not like the bigots of the past. No. See, I'm actually a feminist after all. Haha, I'm a feminist who cares about women's spaces and controlling them and making sure that only the women that I approve are allowed in the spaces for women that I control. And then you're like, yeah, it's the same shit. This is the same. You've rebranded. Sure, there's a new bow, a package. Yeah, okay, fine. There was a committee, I suppose, that decided, yes, perhaps this is the year of our Lord, 2024. It won't be as good to go with the swastika. So why don't you go with the LGB Alliance? Why don't we do that? We'll just say that you're a group of queers, and then, don't use that word, actually. Yeah, it's too closely associated with queers. Okay, the LGB Alliance. What if it's like a group of enlightened gays? There we go. Enlightened gays who understand that there are people trying to infringe in our spaces and policies, even though it's mostly supported by and amplified by straight people, which really should be some alarm bells. We get to be pick-me's, and then, J.K. Rowling can come out and be like, hey, by the way, everybody, I've got this wonderful assortment of gay friends. Yes, in this photo, there's at least one. I'm sure there's one gay in that picture. Definitely one of those people's gay. Not sure which one, but either way, there was at least one gay there, and me hanging out with my LGBTQ plus family understood that we don't need the T, and they told me that, and that's why there's the LGB Alliance. Yes. Also, not fond of asexuals, so they can't come to the party either. The party of, again, there's definitely a gay there. One, for sure. Hiding in the background.
Hey, if you'd like to unlock secret bonus episodes as well as uncensored content, go to patreon.com/The Serfs. This show is produced by Anna Loves Riley, Arian McCarthy, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hagbard Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Political Poppy, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demel, Travis McClinton, Trincell, Words Greenwood, with additional support coming from all of these amazing human beings right here.